to you guys, good, good starting point to say, well, SOA is the way to go. Well, this is really what you probably will see every time when you describe service-oriented architecture as a solution, right? So common portal layer that will be window into your SOA implementation, your SOA framework, which is essentially a SOA infrastructure, which has a set of common services, core services running within it, and I guess a set of consolidated databases or legacy systems that the SOA framework and the services will be accessing. So this is really the grand vision that often kind of stops, and the SOA implementations really stop at that a lot of times because what takes place after that is really undefined. So I think a lot of organizations can have these two steps pretty well defined. Where are we now, and a high-level SOA architecture, if you will. Very good. And here are some really major pain points defined for this specific clouds. So middleware developed in-house, lack of standards, 800 different databases containing low-fidelity data, 70 MQ instances, point-to-point integration between applications. And this particular client even had a lot of web services, which were application-specific web services, really having very specific data that they were transferring. And again, it was more of a point-to-point type of communication. So which is, again, once more underscores that having a web services is not the same as having service-oriented architecture in-house. So probably very similar to a lot of the cases. So what are the steps to kind of get started with service-oriented architecture implementation at the enterprise level or even at department level? So practical advice, right? Start with your business problem. Well, no-brainer, right? But I guess SOA being very IT-driven in nature does not play into business. I guess does not correlate, does not really talk to the business as much as it should. So we really have to marry some kind of an existing business problem. For instance, account, low fidelity account data, or some kind of a product, agile product release schedule to the SOA implementation. So this is where we have to start. We have to communicate to the business that this specific problem, which has to do with being able to release a certain product in a very efficient manner and very quickly, will be remedied by service-oriented architecture being in place. So again, communicate it to the business and get business support for service-oriented architecture, at least initial support until they see results. Here's a simple exercise. Define two states for your enterprise or your department. This is something that's often skipped, but a very high-value exercise. You have to define a point of departure, POD. You'll be surprised how many organizations don't have a simple diagram that outlines all of their existing systems, all of the existing data repository, applications, and the way they communicate with each other, either at a department level or at enterprise level. There are bits and pieces that exist of this system, very good, probably detailed pictures of a specific system, but a lot of organizations lack this big picture of where we are right now. And without this picture, it's very difficult to chart that course towards point of arrival, which is the second point here. Define where do you want to go with your service-oriented architecture at a fairly high level, but you need a target to which you're kind of going to move towards and which you're going to shoot for. And my third point is, what I see a lot of organizations doing is really, while defining that point of arrival of that service-oriented architecture, the end state, they get into almost a project management exercise, which, they try to do a very detailed roadmap of steps, how they're going to get to the end state of SOA architecture, which could be, 3 to 5 years out. And this is where, where a lot of analysis paralysis occurs, where it basically becomes a huge project, a lot of planning, and again, SOA is moving nowhere. Again, the best thing to do is to define a point of departure, a point of arrival, and then address it. And I'm going to really talk about how to address it in a very opportunistic manner. Funding. So it's no secret that a lot of organizations, especially in this economy, will not be allocating funding based on enterprise SOA initiatives. I mean, they might be very little, But again,